You know the story we've all been sold, right? To get truly rich, you've got to quit your job and start a business. It's the ultimate hero's journey we see plastered all over the internet. But what if that's not, the whole story? What if that massive leap of faith is actually the last step and not the first? Okay, let's dive into this and really unpack the foundational paths to wealth that need to come long before you even think about a big launch. Okay, so let's talk about Bill. And maybe you know a Bill, or hey, maybe some mornings you are Bill. He feels completely stuck, totally undervalued, and he sees entrepreneurship as his only possible escape hatch from a life he just doesn't want. And it's a powerful story for sure, super relatable. But it's also the kind of story that convinces people to jump without checking if they've packed a parachute. And that really gets us to the big question here, doesn't it? Is this all or nothing, burn the boats approach really the smartest way to go? Or are there more strategic, less catastrophic ways to build serious wealth, whether you end up starting a company or not? So, we're going to break down 3 really powerful strategies, and you should think of these as the essential groundwork. It doesn't matter if your dream is to climb the corporate ladder, launch some world-changing empire, or just achieve complete financial freedom, it all has to start right here. All right, section 1. And this is the first big idea. And honestly, it's something most people just completely miss. Before you can even think about running a company, you have to successfully run the single most important business you will ever own, your own personal finances. Because if that business is a total mess, anything else you try to build is just going to be on quicksand. So, every successful business, it lives and dies by its income statement. It's a really simple tool, what's coming in versus what's going out. For you, that's just your monthly budget. And let's be super clear here. This is not about restriction. It's about clarity. It's the diagnostic tool that tells you with brutal honesty if your personal business is actually operating at a profit or a loss. All right, next up, we've got the balance sheet. A business uses it to get a clean snapshot of its assets, so what it owns, versus its liabilities, what it owes. In your personal life, this is simply your net worth statement. And look, this is not some fancy number just for the super rich, okay? It is literally the truest measure of your financial health. So you have to ask yourself, are your assets growing faster than your debts? The balance sheet tells the real story. And finally, we get to the whole point of a for-profit business, right? Generating profit. It's the money left over after every single expense is paid. For you, we call this discretionary income. But here's the cool part. Your personal profit, that is the fuel for everything. It's the cash you use to smash down debt, build up savings, and, this is the most important part, invest to build real, lasting wealth. Okay, so for section 2, let's talk about a path that's made tons of millionaires who, by the way, have never ever started their own company. This is what we call the operator's path, building incredible wealth by becoming so good you're indispensable inside someone else's growing business. And this quote from Eric Schmidt, man, it just nails the whole idea. The industry you pick can have a bigger impact on your lifetime earnings than your college degree. Seriously, think about it. The smartest person in a shrinking industry is always going to struggle, while even an average performer on a rocket ship can see their career just go parabolic. The wave you decide to ride, it matters a lot. So, once you're on that rocket ship, you're going to see 2 main tracks open up. First, you've got the specialist. They go deep, becoming the absolute go-to expert in one critical thing. And that path, it usually leads to faster promotions early on. Then you have the generalist. They go broad, collecting a whole portfolio of skills across different parts of the business. Their path might seem a little slower at first, but wow, it often has a much higher ceiling, leading to those top C-suite jobs. And your career usually unfolds in about 3 phases. The first 5 years or so, that's your foundation. Pretty much everyone is a specialist, just learning the core skills. But then, sometime around year 5, maybe year 10, you hit this huge fork in the road. And it's a massive decision. Do you double down and go deeper, or do you start branching out to get more range? Phase 3 is all about slamming the accelerator on whichever path you chose. So, if you want to really accelerate, you've got to fire up what we call your performance engine, or RPM. R is for reputation. That's about becoming the person everyone trusts to deliver when it absolutely counts. P is for production, consistently creating at least 10 times more value than you capture in salary. Think of it like this. If your work helps the company land $1 million client, your $100,000 salary is a 10x return for them. That's a great deal. And M is for mastery, a relentless, almost obsessive focus on your craft that makes really hard things look easy. All right, section 3. But what if you're listening to all this and thinking, yeah, but I've still got that fire. I know I need to build my own thing. Well, this third path is for you. This is about strategically reframing your 9 to 5, not as a trap, but as a fully paid launchpad for your future business. And what's really interesting about this approach is just how methodical it is. It's not about a crazy leap of faith. You start by just figuring out your natural talents. Then you use your job to learn on someone else's dime. You learn sales, you learn operations, customer service, all while building your network. Then the crucial part. You start spotting real, painful problems in your industry. And then you test your solutions as a low-risk side hustle before and only before you make that final leap and launch. So while you're testing out that side hustle, the 80-20 rule is everything. It is your North Star. You have to constantly ask, what is the 20% of my effort that's creating 80% of the value or the sales? You find that core, super effective piece of the puzzle. That is what you build the full business around. See, you don't scale the whole shebang. You just scale the part that's actually working. Okay, so let's say you've got your finances dialed in. You've picked a path. But look, all the strategy in the world is useless if the engine, your engine, isn't running right. And that's why, before you take another step, we have got to do a final, super important reality check on the one thing that holds it all together, your mindset. And that's why these next 5 shifts, honestly, they are completely non-negotiable if you're serious. Number 1, kill your delusion. Wealth does not come from one easy magic idea. It's a grind. 2, replace your friends. Harsh, I know, but if your circle isn't growing, you need to find people who are. 3, rethink money. It's not something to be hoarded. It's a tool you deploy for growth. 4, maximize efficiency. You can't do it all, so you have to build systems. And finally, number 5, become a wolf. And that means building a pack, a team of killers who are way better than you in their own fields. So when you take a step back and look at the big picture, the real takeaway isn't about picking just one path to get rich. It's about understanding that you have to build a solid foundation first. Whether you become a high-flying operator, a methodical entrepreneur in training, or some mix of the two, it all begins with mastering the business of you. So the only real question left is, which part of your business needs your attention right now?